We have spooky forces at work in the S&P 500 as we potentially head to the biggest 24 hours of this economic cycle as the situation in the Middle East escalates more. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the rising oil price because this thing is running away. We also have some of the craziest news over the Easter weekend. So I want to say happy Easter to everyone who celebrates Easter. But wow, what a weekend. And I did take some time off, but we'll cover exactly what's happened because some crazy things have happened right here that we're going to talk about in this Middle East conflict, plus the oil prices. Plus, again, I thought this was a fake tweet coming out of Trump. We'll talk about this, but my mind has been blown by that. My brain has been spinning. And we're going to talk about everything. What happens next? What happens to the financial markets? And what's happening in the USA? And where is this all going? Because, again, chaos is reigning over us and the fog of war is over us. Let's get straight into it. So first thing you need to know is, look, there are spooky forces, there are volatile forces in effect to the S&P 500. It's actually going up at the time of recording this. So why it would be going up, I don't even know, because we have had some pretty bad news that we're going to talk about in today's video. But you can see right here, breaking US stock market futures fall at the open as President Trump declares Tuesday a power plant and bridge day in Iran. S&P 500 down 0.7%, NASDAQ down 0.8%, Dow Jones down 0.7%, crude oil rising 3%, natural gas up 1%, and gold down, nearly 1%. So the deadline is coming sooner. And what are they referring to? What is this post referring to? And it is referring to this these mind-boggling tweets. So, I thought I had witnessed pretty much everything during this conflict, but again, yesterday I saw this come out and I was just like, this can't be real. But it's real. So I'm not going to read out the full version of it. If you want to look at the screen when we bring it up, you can look at the screen and look at the words that get used, but I'll just make sure we don't get flat. I'll make sure this is YouTube friendly when I read this out, but let's read it out right here. It's coming out of Trump. This is on Easter morning as well. So what the F is going on? Now he says right here, Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the F-bomb straight, you crazy bees, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. President Donald J. Trump. So what the F is this? Again, I thought it was a fake tweet when I first saw it, but unfortunately, this crazy world is real. This is not a dream. This is unfortunately literally the tweet out of the president of the US right here. And this is what we're dealing with. Okay, so we have a deadline that is coming up, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And this is just looking more and more crazy. So I have to say, my reaction to this tweet is, yeah, it just sounds insane. So any normal person listening to this, I don't know, you most likely think it's an insane tweet. And it most likely is an insane tweet. I know there might be some people out there saying this could be like 5D chess from Trump trying to appear insane during these negotiations. But the thing is, the Iranians haven't been falling for it. So that only works if there's a believability behind it. And it could be an act, but it also could be insane. But either way, it's just terrible. It's a terrible look for the president of the US. And he might be falling into Machiavelli's trap. Right here, Niccolo Machiavelli, he has one very clear warning in the book, whether it's better to be loved or feared. But he says, you should never be hated. He says, avoid being hated at all costs because it leads to a lot of bad things. And I think Trump might just be going down this pathway with these crazy tweets, these crazy actions. Again, that's my independent analysis, but he might be falling for Machiavelli's trap right here. But that is just something we have to watch out for. So, within 24 approximately hours from when this comes out, guys, we're going to find out whether the Middle East gets set on fire. We're heading for like a global depression, or maybe things won't be as bad. But this is unfortunately just the reality of what we have to deal with. And even Grok himself, who is supposed to be an arbiter of truth with his artificial intelligence brain, he was so stumped by this tweet that he thought it was a meme style image of a fabricated Trump truth social post. So even AI thought this was so unbelievable, it was so unhinged, that it didn't even think it was real. But unfortunately, it is real. This is what we're dealing with, and we have to see what happens on 8 p.m. One of the things we have to also understand, though, is during these negotiations, Trump has been consistently having to postpone his deadline. So you were seeing less and less credibility coming out of Trump. He's had so many deadlines about opening up the Strait of Hormuz. So is this just empty, crazy words coming out of Trump? But one thing we do know is he has been blowing up bridges. The US has been blowing up bridges. It's been blowing up Iranian infrastructure. We might see more of that. So if he goes down the whole destruction of the energy plants, of course, this is going to be terrible because the Iranians will retaliate and they'll just, set the whole Gulf area and potentially other areas of the Middle East on fire. Most people, I would say, in the world, even though they might not be sitting in any of these countries, are going to be losing out of this because, again, we're seeing record amounts of oil price surges and people are just getting very scared of what's going on. Now, in the background, we've had an absolutely insane incident happen over Iran as well. So there has been multiple aircraft going down. And again, I just want to pretext this by telling you guys, remember Trump told us that there was air superiority. Remember Trump told us that Iran had no air defense systems. What the F is up with this? You have so many planes either getting destroyed or getting shot down during this conflict that it's absolutely crazy. So you're seeing up to how much is this? $386 million worth of planes, even potentially more than that, going up right here. So F-15E Strike Eagle going down, A-10 Thunderbolt going down. You're seeing 2 C-130s getting destroyed, MH-6 Little Bird getting destroyed, and multiple drones getting destroyed right here. So as a country with no air defense, I think Iran is doing a pretty good job to magically destroy some of these planes out of the sky. Now, having said that, what actually happened? So there was a pilot got shot down in Iran, but he ejected, or they ejected. And then there was a big rescue mission to potentially get these pilots out. I have to say, though, I will give credit to the US forces. They managed to, even though they lost like a ton of aircraft, according to the official story with Navy SEAL Team 6 commandos right here, I have to say, it is pretty phenomenal they did get those pilots out of Iran. So although there was a ton of military equipment lost during this thing, to actually see the pilots come out of enemy territory like that, full credit goes to the Navy SEAL Team 6 and the US forces for actually conducting that. And how much luck was involved and how much expertise. The fog of war is over us, but just absolutely crazy with multiple pilots going down in Iran, but they are getting saved, but at a big cost right there. That's the official story, though. And there is still a shroud of mystery happening regarding all this. But again, it does tell you that it's still risky to some degree to fly over Iran. So it's not just open season, even though there is obviously a lot of destruction happening in Iran. There's still an element of risk where you might get potentially shot down. And you can actually see some of the planes right here with what's been shot down so far or destroyed or damaged during this conflict. Now, the big thing on everyone's mind right now, it's going to be what happens with oil, right? So oil is going to be one of these leading indicators to watch out for. Could we see some, spooky magic? Could we see some manipulation? Of course, we could see some manipulation coming in. How much it can be suppressed, we're going to find out. I will say, though, there is some degree of silver lining happening with the Strait of Hormuz, but it's not what you think. But it's coming in the form of ships actually getting through the Strait of Hormuz right here. So you can see right here, 15 ships passed through the Strait of Hormuz within 24 hours after obtaining permission from Iran. So very key to understand. Iran is calling the shots. Iran is telling what ships can go through. But I guess the good news is we're not going to get completely starved of oil, even though obviously it's going to be terrible for the markets, the way this is going. But you are actually seeing ships getting through. So oil is getting through at the moment, which is obviously good. But again, you have to watch out for what happens with Trump. Does Trump just start to blow up all the oil facilities in Iran, energy facilities? We're going to find out because, again, there's a risk here that so much oil and energy gets destroyed in the Middle East that you might actually have a genuine energy shortage around the world. Now, that is something very important to watch out for. And again, the Iranians are over on X. They are, combating, Trump and the US's take on this whole situation. And they are making fun of it as well. So they are pretty witty, I have to say, the Iranians. We have here the parliament speaker of Iran. He says, if the US gets 3 more victories like this, it will be utterly ruined. And he's showing the wreckage of this whole incident. And we are also seeing at the same time, Pete Hegseth has done an unusual purge in the US. So we've seen a ton of military leaders in the army get purged. Someone here, so sources close to Trump administration says US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is going after people because he is worried about being fired. Hegseth is very concerned about being fired, and he knows that the US Army Secretary Driscoll is one of the top contenders to succeed him. So what Pete has been doing is taking anyone he perceives to be close with Driscoll and going after them. That's what the sources are saying. So there is a huge military-style purge happening from Pete Hegseth right now. And again, it just adds more and more complexity to this whole entire situation. And you can see right here, more tweets coming out of Iran about this situation. So I have to say, look, again, unfortunately, I'd want to see like a good week opening up for this situation, but it just seems to be escalating. It seems to be kind of getting worse. And it seems to be like we just have to kind of hold onto our hats and our seats as we literally fly through the storm right now. So there's going to be so much turbulence. You should prepare for it. Anything can kind of happen in the situation. And if we check out the financial markets in particular, gold holding on pretty strongly. There's a strong decentralized community of gold believers around the world. Gold's looking good. Again, it's a real asset. You can use it in the real economy. Trading about $4,600 right here. Same deal with silver. So silver looking strong. So bullish incline coming in for silver as this storm comes through. And we're going to see what the next 24, 48 hours bring for silver. Oil looking very choppy, looking very volatile. And again, this S&P 500, you might see a spooky effect right here where it rises despite this terrible news happening. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is large amounts of manipulation, if there is large amounts of just weird, effects in the financial markets right here. But I think if you, broadly think about the financial markets, what is true in the financial markets over the long term? Look, inflation is true over the long term. US dollar losing purchasing power over the long term. And, generally stocks and metals and commodities tend to rise, generally speaking, over the long term. But we'll just see how bad this incident can get. So I don't want this to just be like a world-destroying event. But we'll keep our eye peeled on this. And if you guys enjoy these updates, just like the video. We'll try and get it above 10 likes again and 100 views. That would be appreciated. And that's your major update for today. So I hope you had a great weekend. And I will see you in the next video.